Good evening, everyone. I'm looking forward to meeting with everyone tonight. And let's see if Facebook is going to bring me up. There we go. I'm Kaleem Joy, and I'm a licensed midwife here in California. I am a certified pediatric massage therapist and a certified professional midwife. And every Wednesday night on Natural Childbirth 101, I do a live Instagram as well as Facebook. And I'm just really excited to have everybody here tonight. Hopefully this topic will be something that's not only for creating your birth, but also for things that you want to create elsewhere in your life. And it might help if I turn my little lights on. Wow, now you can see better. So as we're waiting for everybody to come on, I want to share just a little thought with you, right? So there was a midwife in our community. We have peer review in our community once a month. And obviously, there's several midwives in our community. And when we get ready to review a client, midwives are great storytellers. Well, we can't always tell all of our stories because our stories are confidential and they're the family stories to tell. But in a peer review, we get to tell those stories to one another in an effort of also learning and growing from experiences that may have been challenging. So sometimes we have to keep everybody on time. So one of our midwives brought me this cute little hourglass to help us have like 15-minute timers to help us kind of stay on track. Our peer reviews are 5 hours, and sometimes we go over that, so you can tell that those are intense stories. But as I said, we have a lot of midwives in our area. So what I want to bring to you tonight is that when you turn the hourglass upside down, we all are very familiar with an hourglass, and an hourglass will start dropping sand because in the middle here there's a very tiny place that allows sand to drop at a particular rate. This one will go 15 minutes by the time it actually drops all of its sand. Now, I want to bring to mind to you is that there are different little tiny crystals in there, and each one of them is ticking off time. I don't know whether it's in seconds or nanoseconds or whatever it is, but it's ticking off time. And time is something that we have available to us always, but no matter what we do, time is going to pass. And in 15 minutes, the sand will go from here to there. No matter what we do, no matter what we choose to think or feel or experience, 15 minutes is going to go by the time this sand runs into the other end of it. So I want to ask you to think about, oh, somebody's just having a good time on those hearts. Thank you, thank you. I want you to think about the fact that in a year, we know we have 365 days. We also have 525,600 minutes in a year. And I mentioned this last week or the week before. And if you think about having that many minutes in your year, what do you want to spend your minutes on, especially in the year that you're preparing to give birth? So I'm going to leave this down here and let's just see if I can remember in about 15 minutes to come after it. What do you want to experience? What do you want to go through during the pregnancy? Maybe some of you are planning to get pregnant. Some of you have had difficulty getting pregnant, so you're working very hard on that. Some of you may be just getting ready to get pregnant for the first time. Some of you have just had your babies. Some of you are expecting your babies in the coming weeks. So time is going to pass. And we have an opportunity when we're planning for birth to prepare during that time and use that time wisely. So that's why tonight's topic is on desire. What kind of birth or what birth do you want to have? Now, many of you, if you've been following me for a while, know that I have a phrase that I love, which says, you can do anything that you set your mind to. Well, setting your mind to something means that you have to know what you're setting it to first. So desire. So let's talk about desire. Now, this will apply to whether you're planning to get pregnant, whether you're planning to birth, whether you're planning to breastfeed, whether you're planning to go on a trip, get a new job, move into a new house. It really doesn't matter what the circumstances are, but we're going to kind of use the birth analogy for tonight, because birth is one of the most transformational times in the birth giver and the baby's life. Now, it may be that it's one of the most transformational times in all of the family's life as well. So, having desire. Now, some of you, if you've listened to some of my lives and that, you know that I also have a phrase that says, beginning with the end in mind is how we get there. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what the destination is in order to set a course for it, right? All right, so my other phrase that I love is, any road will get you there if you don't know where you are going. George Harrison did a song, and it was released after he passed, and that song's phrase was, any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going. So sometimes we start out and we say, okay, yes, I'm going to get pregnant. Okay, so you're pregnant, and you go through and you say yes, and there'll be a time when I have to give birth, and I'll go to this doctor, and as long as I go to the doctor, everything will be fine. And then when it comes time, I'm gonna go to the hospital, and then they'll make sure that everything stays safe, and I'll give birth to my baby. Well, most of you that are on my feed, unless you're new tonight, you want to be empowered to really make a difference in your experience. So for you, we're going to expand what that is for you. For those of you that may be watching this recorded, and maybe there's some new ideas here, just allow yourself to expand your mind, expand your heart, your understandings, and give yourself a chance to listen and learn something that may spark something inside you that could vastly help to change how you do things. So, having the desire, first you have to do a little imagination. And that's where sometimes you have to take the time, get quiet, and go on an imaginary movie journey. And it's just like that. You quiet your mind down, you quiet the interferences that are around you, turn off the phones, put them aside, and get really quiet with yourself and let your mind begin to dream. Now, many times when we do dream or when we start imagining, sometimes we give ourselves permission to imagine anything we want. Let's see. This year on my birthday, I want to have the biggest, tallest, gooeyest sundae that I can make. And we let ourselves imagine that, right? I want this summer to go hiking in the hills, and I want to find a waterfall and be near that waterfall and just listen to it in my ears. We have to start imagining. Now, when we imagine, it allows us to create possibilities of what we want to progress forward. What do we want to plan, right? So as we do that, especially as it relates to birth, the pregnancy is the path and the road to getting to the birth. So we have those 9 months, give or take a little, and that time gives us the opportunity to begin starting to imagine what we want to create. Now, when you sit and you think, I want a birth that is blah, 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 blah. So right now, I'm going to ask you, I want you to think of 3 things, just 3 sort of descriptions, whether it's 1 word or 3 words, but very short descriptions about the 3 most important aspects of a birth that you would want to create. Whether you're getting close, whether you've had one before, whether you're not even pregnant yet, 3 things that you would ultimately like to create in that birth. Now, don't sit there and fester on them, because sometimes if you sit and you fester and I'm not sure what to write, that's coming from fear. No fear tonight, because guess what? It's just a concept. It's just an idea. We're just using our imagination. That's all. And our imagination can do all kinds of creating, right? Okay, so 3 things that you would like to create in a birth that you would have in the future. And I want you to put those down in the feed, if you don't mind, okay? Because I'd like to be able to read them and let you kind of hear what lots of people put down about their ideas of what those 3 most important things would be at creating the birth that they want. Okay, so think about that for a second. And then, oh, nice job. I've already got one. Peace, love, and calm. I love that. Peace, love, and calm. Now, I want you to take for a moment and say to yourself, in my birth that is peace, loving, and calm, what creates peace for me? Is it a color? Is it a smell? Is it a person? Is it an environment? Is it a food? What creates peace for me? And then what creates love? And then what creates calm? In other words, kind of defining those words. Okay, another one is safe, intimate, and quick. Another is peace, joy, and love. And then I want you to say to yourself, in order to have peace, joy, and love, or safe, intimate, quick, or confidence, safe, and intimate, what helps me to feel confident? What helps me to feel peace? What helps me to feel safe? And do that with each of your words, okay? And you can jot those down, because that's going to be individual for each of you. What it entails, that makes you feel that way. So you begin walking and designing and imagining what those might be. So keep bringing those in. That's wonderful. You can see that some of them are similar, aren't they? Because as birth givers, there are certain things that we want in our births that are the top core values that we want to build everything else on. So let's take safe, for instance. If we take safe, we say, what will help me feel safe in my birth? All right, here we go. Safe is the atmosphere, loving a group of people and quiet sounds. Wonderful. Then you're going to take and you're going to expand it even more. And you're going to say, if I have a safe atmosphere, what is in my atmosphere that makes me feel safe? Who are the people, the group of people I would want in my birth that would help me feel love? What are the quiet sounds that would be in my birth? Okay, so you begin to start expanding on each one until each one sort of has its own little picture, right? And then you can kind of expand from there. So, one of the words that is always one that we sit and we play with, right, is the word trust and the word fear. And fear is a word that we sometimes causes us not to use the word, but it causes us to not trust enough to feel confident that we can create what we want. Okay, let's see how we're doing on our thing. Okay, we're getting there, right? Yep. And we've passed that amount of time by doing what? Learning and expanding our mind and imagining and dreaming and growing our awareness. Okay, so here's a little story. Many years ago, it was the baby must be 25-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. Oh, hi, Isabella. I had a wonderful opportunity to not only attend the birth, but I also did the insemination for this beautiful little baby. And this was a surrogacy relationship of a family who had chosen to be a surrogate for another family, right? And they had tried a handful of times in order to conceive, and it just wasn't working. So I said to them, well, what do you think needs to change? And they said, well, we think that you need to do the inseminations and we need to not be in the physician's offices anymore, and we need to come to being at home. I said, okay, fine, I'm happy to do that. So the day that we got together and we were going to do the insemination, we went through, and I was about to do the insemination, and then I did the insemination, and I said to the intended mom, I want you to plan your celebration party for a positive pregnancy test next month. Now that's a big statement to make when you're just doing the insemination, don't you think? That's a lot of courage. And for her, that was a huge amount of trust to be willing to plan her family and the celebration and have the party and everything, not knowing whether this conception would even happen that day. But I knew that if she could be determined that this was a possibility and put her all into it and believe it, it was possible. So the story went on, and the 1 week passed and the 2 week passed, and we were ready, they were ready to do a pregnancy test. So the surrogate, who I had helped have her own biological babies in the past, so that's how I knew her, she took the pregnancy test and she called me and she said, Kaleem, it's positive. And I, chills went down my body. I was like, yay. And there's a part of me that's like, oh, good. Because that was a huge thing to ask this intended mom to put her trust into. And so she was not going to reveal anything until the celebration. So the celebration came, and this intended mom, she had the cake, and she had the people, and she had the decorations, and she had everything up. She had done everything that she could to envision and to imagine and to believe that this was going to be her story that day. And almost makes me want to cry. It was such a beautiful story. And so the surrogate, I forget exactly how they told them, but I think she wrapped up the pregnancy test in a box. And this was before we had, of course, all of the fun gender reveal stuff that was available at that time. So the surrogate gave her a box, and she knew that the box would either say positive or negative to it. And she was very good at keeping her face very neutral. And when the intended mother, who had no children and was never would not be able to ever have children of her own, she undid the box, and her little hands were shaking, and she undid the box, and there inside was a pregnancy test that said positive. And the whole room didn't know what was in the box, didn't know if the tears, if they were of joy, if they were of sadness, or what they were. But then she turned and she hugged her sweetheart. She showed him the box, and they both began to sob, and so did the surrogate. And everybody in the room is like, what? Is it or isn't it? Is it or isn't it? And then she told everybody that she was expecting her baby. And it was a beautiful circumstance. It was a beautiful beginning. It was absolutely just one of those opportunities to say, sometimes, and I know it doesn't happen that way always, but you have to know what you're heading for if you want to get there. Otherwise, any road is going to get you there if you don't know where you're going, because that means no matter where you end up, you're fine with ending up there. So let's go back to desire, right? All right, so you have to be able to create the imaginary movie in your mind. Then you have to play that movie over and over and over again. Now, I have had families where they'd had situations like the placenta didn't come out, or they had bleeding, or the baby, had to be resuscitated and rushed off to the NICU, and there was trauma left in those births. So this is one of the ways that subconscious, that reticular activating system that we've talked about from time to time, gets programmed. And when we want to do that imaginary journey that we want to believe in, that subconscious will come up and say, oh, no, 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 don't go there. You're going to get hurt again. Things aren't going to work out. You tried that and it didn't happen. Look what happened before. And it wants to tell you you can't succeed. Your job is to go back to what you visualized and what you do believe in and make that stronger than the naysayer that's going on in your subconscious. And it will challenge you. I guarantee it. Some more than others. Now, maybe you've had an amazing birth and you go, I would take that one again. But most birth givers say, I would take that one again and I'd like this, whatever that happens to be, right? So you envision it. Now, envisioning it every day before you go to bed, every morning when you get up, until you feel it as if you had lived it. Now, the one thing I will say to you is, if you're under 37 weeks, always say at the end of it, when my baby is over 37 weeks, this is my story. When my baby is over 37 weeks, this is my story. And I say that because if you're under those many weeks, you don't want birth yet. I don't know if it can happen, but let's not try it, right? So let's make sure we always tell it it's 37 weeks or more. Now, taking that desire and knowing where you want to go, you also have to know how you're going to get there. And how you're going to get there means that you say, what am I going to do for my health to keep my body in a healthy state so that I can have that birth that I'm walking towards? That means you eat well, you stay off of things that you know don't do well in your body. Maybe there's some supplements that you take, and I've had that on my lives. Maybe it's that you have had back problems before. Maybe you had a posterior baby, or maybe you had a cesarean with last baby. Get to the chiropractor or get to the massage therapist, get on the ball, get those hips fluid and flowing. I've said that one in as many of my lives as I can. That is a key issue, fluid, flowing pelvis, so that baby gets in a good position, so that birth wants to go forward. And then you have to handle the emotional side, that it will trust every step of the way. Every sensation that comes, you trust it, that it's going to open you just like a beautiful flower. And the more you see it, the more you feel it when you are in labor, the more the body can trust to do what you are asking it to do. All right. Let's see. When you want to, okay, let's check our clock. Okay, so our clock went, right? The sand moved from here to here. Regardless of what we chose to do, the time was going to pass. So you have to make that decision about what you want to do with that time. The time during the pregnancy, the time during the birth, what you want to do. For dandelion, do I take 3 capsules a day? I'm 26 weeks. You want to take dandelion root, 1 capsule for every 2 months. So you would be 6 months, so 3. Yes, you're on track. Okay. It takes practice to keep that mindset going forward. And if you feel like you're having to work really hard and you've got to hold on to it, then there's fear someplace. Find out what it is. What are you afraid of if you say yes to it? If you own it, if you say this is what's going to happen. I know there's a little thing that comes up that goes, oh, but what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't work? What if things don't happen? That's that system talking. That's the outside world. That's not your innate ability within your body. That's not your baby talking. Your baby and your innate ability already know it knows how to do this. So your job is to make sure that you have that healthy pregnancy with either supplements and nutrition, get those hips moving. Go get, if you've got a limp going on, if you've got a backache, if you've got a hip that's giving out on you, it will show up in the birth. Go get it handled, right? Get it handled. Do some yoga. Yoga's great for that. All different kinds of stretches, okay? You have to have that burning desire that says, I choose I am so happy and grateful now that. And that's where I say to you, write it down. Go through imagining that birth, write it down, but write it down as if the story had already happened. Not as though it's going to happen, but as though it already happened. Take ownership for it, and at the end of it say, after 37 weeks, my story will be true. And when you do that, you begin to start really organizing in your thoughts, your heart, your spirit, and everything around you. And also choose care providers, where you're going to birth, all those things, doulas or whoever it may be, to make sure that they're in alignment with what that imaginary movie is. Because if that imaginary movie is not in alignment with what those are, you're going to hit a roadblock someplace, right? It's not going to work. You're going to end up where you're traveling this road, and then all of a sudden there's a roadblock in it that says you can't go that way, you have to go this way, because the way you want to go isn't possible with what you're planning. So really be clear about what that is, okay? And you stay the course. This is such an important thing, is that you stay the course. When you get on it, stay on it. Don't veer off of it. And that's where sometimes having those helpful voices, whether that's a midwife or a doula, your support people, you help them to know, help me stay the course. If I seem like I'm starting to veer off of it, remind me to do this to get back on course. Because the fear is what will drag you off. Trust will always keep you with your eye focused on the goal, which is going forward and you and your baby meeting each other, right? Okay. Right, what gets in your way? Remember that wherever that energy goes, right, the attention and wherever the attention will go with you, that energy will flow with you. Now, I know those are kind of woo-woo words for some of you, but it's very true, because if you say to a child, don't step in that puddle, don't step in the puddle, the child's going to go, don't step in the puddle. Okay, I got to step in the puddle. The child puts their attention on the puddle. So what you say is, go around the puddle. Now they will go around the puddle, but don't step in the puddle. Tells to them, step in the puddle. Okay, so you have to watch where your attention is focused. If your focus is on the attention that you're going to defend yourself when you go to give birth, you are going to be in a fight. Whatever you need to do to avoid that, you do it. If it's birthing someplace that you feel like that, you have to learn how to put that beautiful bubble of peace around you and stay in your zone, stay the course, and do what you do best. Don't worry about everybody else around you, okay? Right. Know it in your heart, believe it before you see it, exactly, okay? You have to begin with the end in mind, and remember that any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going. So if you know where you're going, you will little by little know the road to get there. The beautiful part about birth is, birth asks you, and it's you, okay? Birth is just you, but birth will ask you, trust me, trust me, trust me. And all you have to do is say, I trust you. Yes, just keep showing me how to go forward. A little more and a little more. I trust you, I trust you. It's like the little engine that could. I trust you, 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 right? Because who you're trusting is what innately is born within you. And your baby. Your baby doesn't know anything different. Just remember that. Your baby says, I know how to birth. Why would anybody think I don't? Okay? Unless there's a restriction someplace, that's the only thing that can get into the baby's way. Or interventions. Sometimes those can get in their way, right? All right. If you've another little story. I did a birth recently. Beautiful, straightforward birth, which is just, what we have. Beautiful labor, lots of joking, lots of smiles. Baby came right out, started breathing. Everything was wonderful, and baby went to breast. I had a student with me, and the student had seen hospital births and had never seen what a true, natural, raw birth was. And after that was over, she said, wow, I've never seen anything like that. You don't see that in the environment that she was in. And I said, this is what realness is. This is what happens all the time for us in midwifery care. Now, all the time is a little bit of an exaggeration. There are some births that take longer, that take a little more, movement, patience, sleep, food, various things like that. And once in a great while, it takes technology that hospitals are best for giving at those times. So when you think about being able, no matter where you're choosing to give birth, you have to remember that you want what is real, not the illusion, not a medicalized version of what is in that environment of what is expected to be normal, okay? You can't do medicalized normal. That isn't available for true birth. If you want a natural, normal birth, you have to trust it coming from within. It doesn't come from without, it comes from within. You prepare well, you get your mind set, and birth takes over and does the rest. Just so does the baby. Okay, I'm gonna go back and read some of your wonderful comments because, it was so much fun. Let's see, we gotta go way back. All right, there we go. So I loved your 3 things: the peace, love, calm, right? Safe, intimate, and quick. Make sure you define a bit of, what quick means. And that one's always tricky because you put a time limit on a birth. Sometimes that's challenging, right? You have to have a good mindset. I'm 6 months pregnant and you're making me tear up. Love it. I'm so glad. Good. That was a beautiful story. Congrats to her. I love this so much. Remember why you started when you're feeling you like giving up. And many times in a birth, that feeling of I just don't think I can do it anymore is usually you're around that 7 to 10 centimeters. You're so close now. And it just takes staying the course one at a time, sometimes somebody to just keep talking to you as you get through each one, because what your body is telling you is, I don't think we're going to keep doing what we're doing anymore because we're going to change and we're going to start pushing the baby out. It's a good signal when those things come up. Whoops, sorry. What? No. There we go. I'm always, all right, back on the glasses. Dandelion, thank you. Yes, chiropractic with Webster technique training was everything for my body. She helped me with 3 unmedicated VBACs. Good job, girl. What are some good YouTube videos that can help to prepare for birth for proper breathing during labor if you have any recommendations? Oh, I love breathing. Okay, so first of all, many times we are still geared into the old Lamaze breathing. Yeah, so it didn't work then, it doesn't work now, and even Lamaze knows that. It was a coping mechanism that generally would make women hyperventilate and have to use their brains. And you don't want your brain thinking in labor. You want it to just let go and let your instinct take over. So breathing is very simple in labor, and I'll teach it to you right now. You don't have to learn big classes or anything like that. You take a breath. Every exhale, you let your jaw drop, you let your body drop, you let your bottom go soft and open. Now, when you start to walk fast, climb a hill, climb the stairs, your breathing gets deeper and a little more rapid, right? because your body, which is your uterus, needs more oxygen. The only thing you have to remember is to take air in and let air out. Take air in and let air out. Because when you do, you calm your nervous system down, you oxygenate your uterus, which works better, your baby gets oxygen, and your body feels better. The time when somebody needs to help you is if you're, when you start kind of panicky. That breathing is take a big deep breath in and let it out. And take another and let it out. It's slowing the breathing down. Your body innately will teach you how to breathe in labor. You do not need to be patterned or taught. The only thing you will need is a reminder to breathe if you forget because you hold your breath, or that your breathing gets too fast and somebody just needs to say, take a deep breath in and let it out, and take another and let it out, and let's slow it down. That's all there is to breathing. That's it. Because if you use your mind to have to think about how to breathe, you're going to signal the front part of your brain, which is going to turn the back part of your brain where birth happens into, I need to listen and think. Don't think, be. Okay? All right, let's see what we've got next. And my series is going to be coming out soon, but it does not talk about any pattern breathing. Know in your heart, believe before you see. Absolutely. Love your glasses. You like these? They're so cute. I am 36 weeks and trying to mentally prepare for a hospital birth. Wonderful. I was wondering if you have a particular brand of vitamin K drops that you recommend. Yes, it's called Bioemulsion. Amazon right now is out of it. In His Hands is a site that carries a lot of birth types of things for both midwives and for families. They have the emulsion. It's a little white bottle with blue labeling on it, but it's Bioemulsion vitamin K. All right. Let's see. I was diagnosed with Hashimotos early on in my pregnancy, 24.5 weeks now. I am planning a home birth with a midwife. Do you believe I am still a good candidate, or is there specifics I should look out? So with Hashimotos, I think you have to talk to your midwife. I think I've had clients that have Hashimotos. As long as it is stable, you'll be okay. If it's not stable, you have to find out whether that's something that can be stabilized enough before birth so that you and baby can have a good experience, right? Depends on how it's being treated as well. All right. Let's see. What is a simple... Oh, that is so simple. Yes, it is. And easy to remember. In fact, if you will sit and just do breathing every day, I guarantee you that by the time you get to birth, all those things are going to be there for you. And especially in the last couple weeks, you sit and imagine that your cervix is just flowering open with every breath that you take. It'll be there. I know it's such an important part, so thank you for it. Love Wednesday nights. Aw, I'm so glad. It's what fuels me on, people. I told you that. What was the website again? I'm sorry. In His Hands. Like in God's hands, in His hands. That's what it's called on the internet. Can I email you and get the supplement list of supplements to be taking? Absolutely. So it's KaleemJoy@gmail.com. KaleemJoy midwife@gmail.com. And I'm more than happy to send them to you. I have a live that was on supplements, so you're welcome to go watch that too. But yes, you can have the supplement list as well. All right, so as we get closing up, if you have, I would love for you to make a statement for yourself that says, thank you, that says, I am, and emphasizing that, I am so happy and grateful now that my birth was peaceful by blah, 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 and safe by, and I felt courageous because of blah, 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 blah. Okay? I am so happy and grateful now that my birth was whatever that was after 37 weeks. I really, years ago I used to teach for Kaiser, and I taught their childbirth classes, their VBAC classes, their tours, various things like that. And I do visualization in class, and there were a few times when people had contractions afterwards, and I thought, wow, that was pretty powerful. So, we know that hypnosis, if you will, and the power of suggestion, that's why I'm sharing all of this with you, desire and suggestion, that, I tend to believe that your body and your baby are smart enough not to just take that and say, oh, now's a good time, when the baby's certainly not ready. But I don't think it hurts to say, after 37 weeks, I am so happy and grateful now that after 37 weeks, my baby was born with courage, peace, safety, whatever is in your story, and just say, and I had this and this and this in my birth, and just let it keep growing, because birth starts to whisper at you after 28 weeks, and it gets a little more and a little more and a little more the closer and closer you get to birth. It whispers more and more and a little louder, because your body knows that when it gets close to birth, it's telling you, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. And it wants you to let go of it, right? And it's so common to get teary the day or two before birth, because everything's just really coming together. But then once birth comes, there's this immense amount of courage and determination and love and passion for it all that just begins to flow through you. So have confidence with that, okay? Have confidence. All right, so it is a beautiful week. I'm so grateful for the sunshine. I'm so happy that my full series is coming together beautifully. Hopefully in the next 2 to 4 weeks, we will have it out. I'm writing the booklet so that you have all of these extra little things that I talk about in the video series written out for you, and then we'll be publicizing it. And I cannot wait to hear what you all think about it. I'm pretty tickled about it. And it has the pregnancy section that walks all the way through supplements and tests and care providers and visualizing and creating what you want, things to do, things to avoid, and then it goes in through all about the birth. And then it goes into breastfeeding and really helping you understand how to get a good breastfeeding relationship, how to handle challenges. It goes through postpartum and everything that we normally will look for and tell families about when we go out to do postpartums. And it'll talk about VBACs and how to have success. It'll talk about circumcision, about medical interventions. And you will have the opportunity in going through this series to have as much midwifery care as I can give you. Whether you're planning to have your baby with midwives, this will just complement everything that they're doing. If you're planning to have your baby at the hospital, whether it's with midwives or physicians, you'll get everything that I give to our families that have helped create the last few years 100% success rate, okay? Prior to that, it was 98%, which is about as close as I could, ever ask for. And it's really about giving to you, giving to the world, giving to everybody that I can to help you create the birth you want to have, whatever that happens to be. So until next week, thank you for the congratulations. Oh my goodness, this was a big project, and I'm so grateful for it. I also will be holding master classes where you can join with me for a half day, and we're going to delve into things to help you find that place inside and handle the fear and get the trust and make that determination that is going to put you on the path to being successful at the birth that you want to create. So until next week, please go in, hug your kids, tell them you love them, and tell them they're amazing and that they can do anything that they set their minds to, because you are amazing. All right, I'll see you next week. Please don't hesitate to send me ideas on what you'd like to talk about, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye for now.